Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Oakville Council meeting of Monday, November 5th. This is the final meeting of this term of council, and so I'm glad to see everybody in the audience here with us. Before we move on, let us stand for the singing of O Canada. This evening, we have regrets from Councillor O'Meara, who I understand is enjoying Mickey Mouse with his kids down in Florida. And unfortunately, Mayor Burton couldn't be with us this evening. He's suffering from a bout of a cold, I understand. And so I'm acting mayor for the evening, and it's my pleasure to conduct the business this evening. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest, members of council? I see none. I need a motion to confirm the minutes of previous council meetings, that being the minutes of the regular session of council of October 9th, 2018. Councillor Lischina and Councillor Hutchins. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I do have one public presentation this evening, and it's a proclamation regarding Women Abuse Prevention Month, and so it's my pleasure to present this proclamation on behalf of Mayor Burton and members of council. Whereas the town of Oakville recognizes that no level of violence is acceptable and the elimination of violence against women must be an absolute priority, and whereas it is every woman's fundamental right to live in safety and security in their homes and communities free from the threat of violence, and whereas we stand in solidarity with abused women and support them, and whereas together with Halton Women's Place we believe that violence has no place in our homes, schools, and community, and whereas community partnerships are important to promoting and supporting the efforts of providing safe shelter for abused women and their children, and whereas governments and institutions have a primary responsibility to demonstrate leadership and provide resources to achieve equality and to end violence, now therefore, I, on behalf of Rob Burton, Mayor of the town of Oakville, do hereby proclaim November as Women Abuse Prevention Month in Oakville. Thank you very much. And Janice Hamilton from Halton Women's Place, would you do me the honor of joining me at the flags for a presentation of the proclamation? Okay, members of council, we have no delegations and there were no standing committee reports to deal with this evening. There is, however, a consent item, which is item 1, deeming bylaw 2018-152 for 2325 Trafalgar Road, lots D and E in block 30, unregistered plan number 1. As a member of council, Councillor Hutchins and Councillor Giddings have moved it. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. We do have a confidential consent item. That's item C1, trees on Lynbrook Road. Are there any questions? Councillor Giddings, are you moving?
Yes, so I've had a number of conversations with staff and would be happy to pass that one.
Moving the recommendation
Yes.
of staff, and Councillor Hutchins, you're seconding.
I concur, yeah.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? That is carried. Item number 2 is the Community Energy Plan Progress Update and Community Task Force CTF Council Appointed Representative item. Members of Council, are there any questions on this item? Staff, do you have any further information for Council at this time on this item?
Good evening. We do have a presentation of a summary of the report if required, or else I could just answer any questions.
Okay, I think it would be valuable, as it's meant to be an item of community engagement. I think it would be valuable to hear it for the purposes of helping to spread the word.
Sure. Great. I think we're good. I think we're good. Great. Thank you for having me here today and for the presentation. I'm just going to do a quick overview of the Community Energy Plan timeline, what it is, and what the Community Task Force is. So the Community Energy Plan really started in January of 2018. It was phase 1, where we did an energy inventory, greenhouse gas emission profiles, and looked at some tentative framing goals for what a community energy plan would look like. To date, as you can see, we are here in November bringing an update to Council on our progress, as well as asking Council to approve the appointment of a Council member to the Community Task Force in December. Phase 2 of the Community Energy Plan is really that stakeholder engagement piece, where we're going out to the community for consultation on the draft framing goals and ways in which we can work to achieve those framing goals for energy conservation, greenhouse gas emission reductions, and looking at energy usage in the community. Lastly, phase 3 is the writing and finalization of the report, which will be done by the end of 2019, and there will be a council report at the end of the year in 2019. So phase 1, with the baseline of 2016, was looking at our energy inventory. So through that, we found the energy consumption profile as well as the greenhouse gas emission profile. So the transportation emissions, as well as the residential, you can see in the 2016 energy consumption, were the highest for energy usage. The greenhouse gas emission profile shows that transportation emissions are the highest total emissions in Oakville. About $620 million is spent on energy community-wide, and 80% of that, or around $490 million, is spent outside the community. This is a key piece of the energy plan. As part of the goals of the energy plan is looking at spending energy dollars in Oakville and looking at our economy and the way in which energy dollars go out of Oakville. As well, we're looking at greenhouse gas emissions. This is a business as usual scenario. So this was if we were to get to 2050 and we hadn't done a community energy plan and we were only moving forward as we are to date. As you can see, we continue to increase in our emissions, and you can see the different ways in which the sectors translate into those emission tons per year. So we can see that there will be an increase of about $2.6 to $5.3 billion in energy costs in Oakville. The other important piece to notice is the yellow arrow. This is the federal greenhouse gas emission goal, which is the 80% reduction in emissions by 2050, and meeting the 1.5 degree increase from the Paris Accord for the climate change goals. So phase 1, these are some tentative framing goals. These are goals that we've just sort of, as we look as what's out in the community and greenhouse gas emissions, what is out there for global best practice. These are framing goals to help us with the first discussion piece in the community task force and the community engagement. So the goals for the CEP tentatively, obviously this will be finalized with the community task force and the community, is we want to support Oakville as the most livable town in Canada. On the economy side, we want energy investments which will meet acceptable returns. Energy costs to be competitive compared to comparable Canadian and US communities. We want to generate incremental high-quality employment in green jobs. Looking at greenhouse gas emissions, we're looking at potentially to reduce emissions by 50% in 2041 from the baseline 2016, as well to reduce emissions by 80% in 2050 from 1990 levels to meet the federal and provincial reductions. Current provincial reductions, I should say. Energy efficiency, we're looking at being global best practice by 2041, as well as to be at least an energy efficiency of 50% below 2016 by 2041. We also want to make sure that we're reliable, resilient, and flexible, so that our energy systems are meeting user expectations, climate change, extreme weather uncertainty, and new technologies. So those are some of the framing goals that will be used as we go out to the community, engage the community about what we're looking for in our community energy plan. So specifically what we're here to talk to you about tonight is the community task force. The community task force will consist of approximately 19 community champions, all from various sectors. And if you refer to your Appendix B, you'll see the draft community charter, task force charter. The purpose of the community task force is to earn community buy-in, to use their networks to be involved in the engagement. We're looking for those who will have influential and impactful influence on the community of how we move this community and energy plan forward, and making sure that we're aligned with the community values and goals of Oakville. So tonight we have that recommendation of a council member being appointed at the December 3rd council meeting for the Community Energy Task Force. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? I have one for you, and that is on page 33 of the charter. There's an element that bars the representatives from the residential ratepayers and from the environmental interest groups from being one of the co-chairs. Is that an issue that, if council wished to, we could direct staff to remove that component of the charter for the group to consider?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So the current charter as it is now, that will be the first item in the first community task force meeting where they can confirm the charter as well. They can change, adapt, or edit. The reason why those 4 sectors were identified in the charter as the draft charter was they were looked to be seen as those who had the biggest impact and influence on moving the community energy plan forward. But that again is up to the community task force, not up to me or council tonight. That will be confirmed by the task force.
Very good. And so when it's presented to the task force, it can be made clear to them that they can choose to
Yes.
waive that component if they wish.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, if there are no other questions, I need a mover and seconder for item number 2. Councillor Hutchins and Councillor Longo, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Item number 3 is the Glen Abbey Golf Course proper interpretation and application of Section 34 of the Ontario Heritage Act, court applications and decision. Are there any questions at this time or any need to go in camera on this item? Councillor Elgar.
Actually, no need to go in camera unless some member of council does, but I'd be pleased to move the staff recommendation that's before us in the report.
Any others? Councillor Dudek?
Pleased to second.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Then all those in favor? That's carried. Council has just moved the recommendation that the town solicitor be directed to implement the instructions set out in the confidential Appendix B to the report of the legal department dated October 29th, 2018. Members of council, we have a confidential discussion item which I understand there may be a desire to go into camera on, and so I'm going to ask that we deal with the advisory committee minutes. That's item numbers 4 and 5, the accessibility advisory committee minutes of September 13th, 2018, and the Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee of October 16th, 2018, including Part A, the heritage permit application of 160 Williams Street. Councillor Hutchins, and I need a seconder, Councillor Chisholm. All those in favor of those items? That's carried. Thank you very much. I'm going to move back then to item number C2, LPAT hearing PL 170462, Dunbar Developments, Inc. Is there an interest in going in camera on this item? Councillor Knoll, Councillor Grant, you are moving to move in camera for purposes of, thank you. That council proceed into a closed meeting session to discuss matters related to item C2, LPAT hearing PL 170462 Dunbar Developments, for the purpose of dealing with a matter that is subject to litigation or potential litigation, and to receive advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. All those in favor? That's carried. Members of council, we are going to retire to the boardroom upstairs in the offices of the mayor and council. If you'll please join me there in just a moment. Members of the audience, we will return when we're finished with our in-camera session. Okay, members of council, we have returned to open session. Thank you very much for your patience, members of the public. At this point, I'm going to take a motion from council regarding item C2. Councillor Knoll and Councillor Grant, are you willing to move the motion that staff proceed as outlined in the confidential report dated October 29th, 2018 from the legal department?
I am.
Thank you. And Councillor Grant? Very good. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Then all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Members of council, returning to the rest of our agenda, you have before you your information items that have been circulated electronically, and you have your status of outstanding issues. Are there any questions regarding any of those? I see none. Could I have a motion to receive those items? Councillor Hutchins and Councillor Chisholm. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Under new business, are there any notices of motion or any other requests for a report? Councillor Dudek.
Your Worship, it's not a request for a report, but tonight is the last meeting for our colleague, and I will defer to the chair.
Thank you. As you note, it is our last meeting of this term of council, and it's a very special meeting. So on behalf of Mayor Burton and all of council, I'd like to thank two of our members that are here tonight who won't be returning to us come December, and that's Councillor Nick Hutchins and Councillor Ralph Robinson. I want to thank both of you for your many years of service combined. We're sitting here today with great and tremendous respect for the work both of you have done for our whole community, not just the wards that you have represented. We've all seen firsthand the work that you've done. We've worked alongside both you, Councillor Hutchins and Councillor Robinson, as you've provided just an enormously positive voice for your communities, for your area residents, and for all of Oakville. Councillor Hutchins, in your 4 years of service on council, you've certainly made your mark. I've certainly seen your genuine commitment and passion for your community, serving on a number of committees over the years, and before that, being a very, very busy member of the community before being on council, and I am certain that that commitment's going to continue to shine through over the years in the future. You were first elected in 2014, and I know that you have a degree in science, and you've shown that as part of your life as being both a businessman and entrepreneur, committed environmentalist. You've done wonderful things for our community. I know you've been involved in the pharmaceutical industry for a long time. I know you've been working very hard on your own company, and that you've got a patent dealing with LED lighting. I know you've many times engaged with us on discussions on those subjects. And I know that you, for many years, were part of the TCR, the Trafalgar Chartwell Residents Association, serving the whole community as a board member and a president for a number of years on that. 15, he says. So a very long time. And doesn't that make it almost half your time? Haven't you been living in Southeast Oakville for over 30 years? So that's 32 years. And I know that you're a very dedicated father to your 2 grown daughters, who I want to thank for them lending you to us for the time you've been on council. So thank you very, very much. We have a small token of appreciation that I'd like to give to you. I don't know if you've got any words that you want to impart to us before I do that.
Well, thank you very much for those very kind words. I have a few words I would like to impart, if that's okay. First of all, I want to congratulate my colleague, Ralph. 34 years, you were telling me, on count 30? 36. 36 years. Okay, there you are. 36 years. I'm amazing. And, and it must be very sad to be leaving after that such a long time, but I do congratulate you. From my perspective, it's been a great privilege to represent Ward 3 as their town council for the past 4 years. It's also a great pleasure to work with all of you on council on our collective efforts to make Oakville even better, which now Money Sense magazine recognizes, since it's named Oakville the best place in Canada to live. The last 4 years, we've had major projects go through, which I'm very proud we've all accomplished. Designating Glen Abbey as a cultural heritage landscape, I think, is one of the key ones I will always remember. Building the new Lakeshore Bridge on time and below budget is obviously a very helpful thing. Approval after the public consultation of the design, funding, and start of the new recreation centre and the new park on the old hospital lands. I'm certainly looking forward to its completion in the fall of 2020. Approval of the new downtown transportation streetscape design, all being completed in the fall of, again, 2020. And approval of the downtown mitigation plan for the Lakeshore Road construction. I know everybody's worked very hard. The BIA and as well as the town have, I believe, come up with the correct mitigation strategies. But that's, in my opinion, it will help to the 2020 completion of Lakeshore. I'm actually, I think all of these are huge accomplishments for this council, and I'm actually wanting to look a little further down the road. I intend to be still, what's the word? Around, active, okay, practicing, I don't know what you call it. I have a particular interest in the downtown, and I'm looking for the medium-term and the long-term issues, and also in Midtown. I believe, using my business and traffic sense, I think there needs to be more input into the traffic control there, because otherwise I think the whole area is not going to be a livable Oakville, part of Oakville. So when it arrives, and when it does arrive, it could be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. I don't know. I don't even know whether I'll be still alive. But on the other hand, I think it's incumbent on everybody to make sure we do the right thing and get the planning in process. So I intend to be around, and thank you very much for your kind words.
Would you join me down at the flags for a photo with a little memento from all of your council colleagues?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I'm told that this is a beautiful portrait of Gerlach Gardner.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
He says open it. I kind of agree.
Aye. I need my 3-year-old granddaughter. She's much better at doing this than I am. Thank you very much. Okay, put this out the way. Okay, this way. All right.
Do we have it?
Yep. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Very good.
Ralph, it's your turn. I got to say, thank you is probably not enough, but thank you for all your time. We wish you all the happiest in your very, very, very well-deserved retirement. We, along with every member of our community, are grateful for your tireless efforts on behalf of not only the Ward 1 residents, but all of Oakville for the past 36 years. That's an incredible length of time to be serving your community the way you have. It's just an absolute wonderful thing that you've been able to do that for all of us. 11 consecutive terms, as I understand. That is quite the length of time. And you've been playing an active role in municipal politics for all that time since 1982. You've been involved as not only a political member of our community, but a volunteer. You have great business experience that you've brought to the table. And you didn't start in Ontario. I understand you started out on the East Coast. And so you brought all kinds of experience from Halifax and St. John's to the table as well. And the anecdotes that you've been able to share with us on the side have always been enjoyable. And so I know that locally you've been involved in all kinds of committees. You've been chairing such things as the Bronte Creek Environmental Assessment Steering Committee. You've acted as a founding member of the former Community Advisory Committee to the Petro-Canada site, to the Lake Ontario Shoreline Algae Action Committee. These are things that people still care about deeply throughout the community. And I know from my experience that you've been on countless committees at the town. You've also chaired the Oakville Terry Fox Run for 25 years, is that correct? You've been a founding director of the Oakville Sports Hall of Fame, past director of the Halt Multicultural Council, an incredible long list of credentials that you've added to your 30 plus years in the banking and entrepreneurial world, I believe. So it's just an incredible thing to be able to have worked with you over this long period of time. I understand that you've got some other incredible awards too. I understand that you're a Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal awardee as well. I understand that one of your most prized things is the Kin Award, the Hall Rogers Fellow Award. So many things. You've been involved in MOHA. Is there something that you haven't been involved in Oakville? Because maybe it would be easier to say those things than all the things that you have done. In any case, I want to thank you. I want to thank Mary for her letting you be here for all that time. All your kids, your many grandchildren. It's been a great pleasure to be able to work with you. I know that all my council colleagues feel the same, and we wish you all the best in all the things that you'll continue to do over the next years in our community. And we look forward to seeing your smiling face whenever it can come and visit us. Would you also like to come and join me down by the flags for receiving a small, yeah, we need a speech. But after that, it would be my great pleasure on behalf of council and the community to give you a small gift.
Thank you very much for reminding me about all those parts of my life that have been so important and so involved, and something that I'll never forget. It's been a real important part of the whole family's life. unworthy of the fine things that the other councillors have all made each person get together and find friends and all kinds of great stuff. I'm not going to say much more. I'm hoping that somebody will give me an opportunity on the 29th to make a few comments, because I would like to say some things to other people that aren't here this evening. But thank you, councillors, very much, present and past, and it was a big family decision, this was, and it wasn't easy, and I'm going to miss it, but I'll get over that, and I'll still be around. And thank you very much for your comments. Mr. Chair, I'd just like to advise council that Beth and I had her picture taken this evening right here in this position by Kathy, and I'm going to send a copy of the picture of Beth and I to each member of council.
Thank you. No, I know. Yeah.
This is a really big box of chocolates. It's a hoverboard, yeah. I guess somebody's going to say open it. Open it, open it.
You want a picture with, you want a both?
Shall we take a picture before and after? Okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Open it!
Open the person. Is that a good sign or is that?
That might be the wrong side. Here, let's flip it. Don't drop it. This is, yeah, who's the rat? All right, there you are. All right, it is beautiful. We need to.
Okay. So on 3. 1, 2, 3. And just one more, just in case. Actually, you need to come forward. You're on there. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. Carefully.
I wouldn't want to carry it there.
Yeah. No, we'd be happy to help you out with that.
Thank you. So, best wishes to both of you on your next chapter in your lives. We very much appreciate and have enjoyed the time that we've had you with us here on council. For those who are returning, congratulations. I look forward to the next term of council working with you. For the new members who are with us in the audience, congratulations. And there are a couple of chairs here waiting for you. In just a few weeks, you'll be up here too. Okay, we have just a couple of last little things to do on our business agenda. Regional reports and question period regarding town boards and advisory committees. Are there any items on there? No? Are there any requests for reports? I see none. We need to consider the reading of the bylaws.
I would like to move approval of the bylaws as before us this evening.
I think that would be oh so appropriate. Councillor Hutchins, would you do the honor of seconding? Thank you. And that is that the following bylaws be passed: 2018-149, 2018-152, and 2018-157, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a meeting of council. All those in favor? That is carried. I think I need a motion to adjourn. And I think it would be also appropriate if Councillor Robinson and Councillor Hutchins, you do the honor of adjourning the meeting. It has been moved by Councillor Robinson and Councillor Hutchins.
I agree.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Congratulations, everybody. It's been a wonderful term working with all of you, and I look forward to another 4 years with you.